Good evening, I'm Jose Cardenas. We'll have an update on numbers for Latino voter turnout in Arizona. Plus, learn about a Valley organization providing donated medical supplies and equipment to developing countries around the world. And Hispanic Business Magazine names its 50 most influential Hispanics in the nation. We'll hear from one of the two recognized in Arizona. All this coming up straight ahead on Horizonte.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station.
Thank you for joining us. According to the Pew Research Center, Democrats maintained a large edge among Latinos voting in the federal midterm elections. But in some states, Republican candidates won more than 40% of the Latino vote. Francisco Heredia, Executive Director of Mi Familia Vota, is here to talk about some of the early voting data and voting projections. Francisco, welcome back to Horizonte. We do want to talk about those federal elections that we mentioned in the introduction, but let's talk about the voting in Arizona, both state and federal. Give us, and I know it's very preliminary, but tell us what we know so far.
Yeah, from the data that we have, and we still have incomplete data as far as folks that voted on election day. That data is coming in the next couple weeks. But the data that we have shows it's historically low turnout for a midterm, both nationally and in Arizona. Currently, the Secretary of State has it as 47%. So more than half of all voters did not participate in this year's midterm election, and that has an effect with all voters, including Latinos. For Latinos in specific, we will see a drop off from 2010. But as far as there's nuggets there, highlights that we can take from as far as projections, the vote share of Latinos seems like it will be the same as 2010, about 12%, 13% of all votes cast amongst Latinos. And we know also that Latinos are voting by mail more and more each election cycle. So we will see about a 10% increase, where about 68, 70% of Latinos who casted a ballot this year will be voting by mail.
So a few pieces of good news, so to speak, amongst what would otherwise be fairly disappointing. And you said 47%. Isn't that higher than what was projected?
Yeah, so we were basing off numbers from 2010, which was not a very good year for turnout as well. It was 55% in 2010 amongst all voters. So we were basing our numbers that we will be about around the same numbers as 2010, but this year it was a drop off amongst all voters. Like I said, 47% amongst all voters, which had an impact amongst Latino voters in this year's midterms.
Now, in terms of parts of the state, any information on how, for example, Maricopa County compared to Pima County?
That's the analysis that we're doing right now. I think it's the same as far as low turnout amongst everybody, Latinos including. It's like I said, there's little nuggets there, highlights that we want to keep on working as far as folks registering on the permanently voting list, making sure they participate by mail, and get all needed information. So as we do that analysis, we will have more on what happened in this year's election. But various issues, the issues that Candace talked about, the voter apathy, the not having the right information as far as polling places, all those things were signals for us that led to this low turnout amongst Latinos and all voters in Arizona.
So for those who did turn out, the Latinos who did turn out, any sense of how they voted? I assume predominantly Democratic, but any sense as to whether, for example, some voted for Republicans in some races and Democrats in others?
I think there was exit polling from Latino Decisions that included Arizona, so they did a survey here. Overwhelmingly, Democrats received the support of Latinos in this year's midterms. For instance, the superintendent race, David Garcia, who narrowly lost that election, was the closest statewide, received over 80% of the Latino support here in Arizona from exit polls. And all the other statewide around in the 70s through 80% range as well. So for Latinos, they still vote Democratic, but I think it's about turning out, ensuring that turnout amongst all voters is very much needed. And instead of making it harder for folks to vote, we need to make the process easier. So that's our work ahead, analyzing the data, where we can recommend improvements for participation amongst our county elections officials, Secretary of State, ensuring that all eligible voters are eligible to participate in the process.
You talked about the Garcia race against Diane Douglas. He did get the largest number of votes of any of the Democrats in the statewide race, but he still lost. Very close election. I assume it's safe to say that if Latino turnout had been even as good as it was in 2010, which was a bad year in terms of turnout, he would have won?
Yeah, I think it would have been very much close. It was close now, and the environment was there for conservative candidates. The electorate was medium age, from early voters were 62 years old, very Caucasian and very conservative. But if we had some similar numbers for the baseline that we were working off, David Garcia could have won this year's election.
So in light of that, and just looking back overall, and we'll end the interview with this, you've pointed out some of the reasons why the turnout may have been low. People staying home, not turning out, bad year for Democrats overall. Is there anything that you think organizations such as yours and other get out the vote efforts could have done differently, or should have done differently, or that you will do differently next time around because of what you saw this time?
Yeah, no, I think more information is needed out there. That's what we keep on hearing as far as where they go out and vote, how do they vote early. Those information, we will keep on doing that. More resources are needed from both the representatives in office to our organizations to do that work, filling that gap of information. So we will keep on doing what we need. There's still a lot of unregistered Latinos there, over 300,000 estimate. So we will keep on working on ensuring that all eligible Latinos are on the voting rolls and are participating in our elections.
Well, I'm sure that as more information develops, you'll be doing more analysis, and we'll have you back on the show to see what happened this time around. But thank you so much, Francisco, for joining us on Horizonte to talk about the
Perfect.
elections.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Project CURE is the largest provider of donated medical supplies and equipment to developing countries around the world. The organization is also doing its part to contain the Ebola outbreak with efforts right here in the Valley. Kathy Marbardi, Arizona's Executive Director for Project CURE, is here to talk about the efforts and the organization. Katie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jose.
Let's talk first about what the organization does. Normally, I know that Arizona is one of the areas where there's a lot of activity.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, Project CURE is the world's largest distributor of donated medical supplies and equipment to developing countries. So we have locations throughout the United States, and Tempe is one of them. We have a big distribution center right here, and we collect medical supplies from our local healthcare community. And our volunteers then take that supplies, they sort them, they pack them, and then we load them on big 40-foot containers.
And we've got some pictures we're going to put on the screen while we're talking of those efforts. The container trucks, the warehouses and so forth. That's activity going on in Arizona, and sites across the country. Where do you get the supplies? They're donated. Where do they come from? Hospitals or what?
Yeah, we partner with big healthcare systems. So right here, we partner with all the local hospitals, all the Banner hospitals, Dignity, Scottsdale Healthcare, every single one of them, and they collect medical surplus, so new and unused medical supplies and equipment. And they collect it for us. Then they give us a call and we go and pick them up. So we have volunteers that drive all around the valley. They go to every healthcare facility. They also will visit local doctors' offices, even big medical manufacturing companies. We'll partner with them. For example, Covidien just delivered 26 pallets of medical supplies to our warehouse. Marathon is sending another shipment that we should get tomorrow. We're going to get masks and gloves. So we partner with big medical manufacturing companies down to even the single doctor's office.
And the last picture we had on the screen was really the other end of that process, the delivery to countries. I think that was a picture of a delivery in Africa. How do you ensure that what's needed gets delivered?
Yeah, so our process, we are really focused on creating sustainable healthcare infrastructure change. So what we do is we go and visit these hospitals all around the world, and we work in over 130 countries. And so we walk through the hospital, we talk to the doctors, we talk to the nurses and the healthcare administrators and ministers of health, and we really try to dial into what they need, what their specific requests are, because the communities we work in vary. We work in big hospitals. For example, we just shipped 2 containers to a 4,000 bed hospital in Sri Lanka. The needs there are very different than the small rural clinics we're working in Rwanda, for example. So customizing these containers is really an important part of our process. Once we go and do this thorough needs assessment, we come back to the U.S., and then that's when we plan the container. We go through our inventory system. We really analyze the report, and then we pack the container. And each one of our containers, they're 40 feet, so they're large. And on average, they hold around $500,000 in value of medical product that's customized for that recipient location.
As I understand, one of the large areas of effort for your organization is Mexico. Tell us about your efforts there.
So we're actually the largest, second largest NGO operating in Mexico. So we work all over the country. We have sent in the last, I believe, 10 years, over $40 million worth of medical supplies and equipment. And with Mexico, the cool thing about that is each one of our containers is larger because it usually comes out of our local warehouse here in Tempe. So instead of our average size, which is about 40, our shipments to Mexico are about 53 feet. So that means they hold on average about $1 million in value. So we've done a lot of work in Mexico.
So the supplies are donated.
Yeah.
But you do have costs, and
We do.
And you need volunteers. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we're really lean. We operate on less than 2% overhead, but in order to do that, we're really dependent on our volunteers. Here locally, we have about 6,000 volunteers that come through our warehouse every single year, and that consists of corporate groups, individual groups, individual people, churches, schools, you name it. We get anybody who's interested in impacting global health. We certainly have an opportunity to volunteer. And our volunteers really run it. We only have 2.5 staff that work here locally. So we're very, very dependent on our volunteers.
Now, we talked about global operations and the needs there. One of them, of course, right now is the Ebola outbreak. And I think that last picture that we had on the screen of the container truck was a delivery in Sierra Leone, and then we've got some pictures of some places that have been impacted by Ebola, including a hospital there where you've provided supplies.
Yeah, so we've worked in these countries for almost to close to 30 years. So we've been working there for a long time, and what we're seeing right now is it's very, very devastating for the healthcare community in West Africa. For example, Sierra Leone is a great one. We're shipping a container to that country actually tomorrow, right here from Tempe. And last December, our CEO and president, Dr. Doug Jackson, visited several hospitals in Sierra Leone to conduct our needs assessments and did all that.
And this is one of those hospitals now on the screen.
Yep, this is one of them. Since that time, since the Ebola outbreak, the hospital that he visited, actually all the doctors and healthcare workers are no longer with us today due to the Ebola outbreak and the virus. Yes, they are gone now. And so these are friends of ours. These are people that we are working hard to protect in order to avoid these devastating losses. And what's happening is now all the healthcare workers are gone and the hospital is deserted. People aren't coming there for care. And so it's a big problem that we're facing, but the international community is responding. And what's great about it is that Project Cure is perfectly positioned to respond, because this is what we do every single day, 365 days of the year. And so we're happy to at least be able to be part of the solution and part of the support system to those countries.
And if other people want to be part of the solution, what's the best way to get involved? Is it contacting you at the website we had on the screen?
Yeah, visit our website. We also have a local Project Cure Phoenix Facebook page. Our greatest need right now in terms of our Ebola effort is we're raising funds to actually ship containers. We're working with the Liberian Association of Arizona here locally, and the Vice President of Liberia to ship containers into that country. And so there's a lot of ways to support Project Cure. If anyone's interested in supporting the Ebola relief, this is a great way to do it. We're able to deliver a 20-to-1 benefit. So for every dollar that's donated, we can turn that around. That ships $20 worth of medical supplies and equipment. So we're proud of that, and we're really working hard to continue to deliver these critical supplies.
Katie Mobardi, Project Cure, thanks for joining
Thank
us on
you.
Horizonte to talk about this evening.
Thank you.
To find out more information about what's on Horizonte, go to azpbs.org and click on the Horizonte tab at the top of the screen. There you can access many features to become a more informed Horizonte viewer. Watch interviews by clicking on the video button or by scrolling down to the bottom of the page for the most recent segments. Learn about more specific topics like arts and culture and immigration. You can also find out what's on Horizonte for the upcoming week. If you would like an RSS feed, a podcast, or you want to buy a video, that's all on our website too. Other features include our collection of website links and a special page for educators. While you're there, show your support for Horizonte with just one click. Discover all that's on Horizonte. Visit azpbs.org, Horizonte today.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
Hispanic Business Magazine released its 2014 list of the 50 most influential Hispanics in the nation. There were 2 people selected from Arizona, Rosemary Marquez, U.S. District Judge, District of Arizona, and the other one named is Edmundo Hidalgo, President and CEO of Chicanos por la Causa. Edmundo, congratulations.
Thank you, Jose.
If people have been watching our show over the years, they would know why you were selected. You've been on the show a number of times. And Chicanos por la Causa, with you as a guest and with others, has been highlighted. In fact, recently we had some other people on the show. Before we talk about some of the reasons why it makes so much sense that you were selected, tell us a little bit about your background, because people may not know you that well.
Sure, Jose. So, really grew up in a rural community, born and raised in Arizona.
San Luis.
Grew up in San Luis, Arizona, and Rio Colorado both. Went to Yuma Cofa High School initially, but came to Tempe by going to Arizona State University. And really, in a lot of ways, was a product of Chicanos por la Causa, right? So CPLC, Los Diablos, a lot of the local organizations really invested in my education. And so I've been able to kind of go the full circle in now being part of an organization that has great impact in our community. So, obviously, really proud, to represent not just Chicanos por la Causa, but also our community. And just honored, of this recognition.
And your background includes a number of years in the private sector, gaining some valuable experience there.
Absolutely. I had an opportunity to work both for the federal government as well as work in banking. So I had an opportunity to work both for Wells Fargo and Bank of America, and having gone the full circle. So into this environment, I think that you have to be an individual that is well-rounded and have a variety of experiences. And so all those things, I think really prepared me, for the opportunity to lead, Chicanos por la Causa.
Now, being recognized as one of the 50 most influential Hispanics in the country, as you yourself indicated very modestly when we were off camera, it's not just a reflection of you and your personal story as inspiring as it is, but also the organization you lead, Chicanos por la Causa, one of the largest community development corporations in the country.
Absolutely. As an individual, it's humbling. It's an honor, but at the same time, we know that, we're here and I'm here, truly representing, Chicanos por la Causa and representing, our community of Arizona. Oftentimes, as we travel throughout the state and throughout the country, people ask, when we say, well, we're from Arizona, it's like, well, aren't you guys kind of a little bit backwards in terms of your elections and your, the things that you focus on, some of the initiatives that have given our state a black eye. And so through our organization, we've tried to reflect, not only on the values, but also on the great things that are going on, throughout Arizona and now Nevada and New Mexico. CPLC has grown to be a multi-state organization, with really a focus in helping those individuals that want to help themselves, from an economic perspective.
So give us kind of an overview of the kinds of things that CPL does that enables it to help people in this respect.
Absolutely. So last year we were able to serve over 190,000 individuals, throughout this footprint. Many of them, came through our human service aspect. So whether it was our, social enterprises, or it was our human services, behavioral health, or education. In many cases, it was individuals that were looking to move up the economic ladder. And many of them have barriers or obstacles that they need to overcome, and that's where CPLC comes in, right? So it's not about us saying, there's a specific formula to help you, but it's about what goals do you have in order to meet the needs of yourself and your family, and how can CPLC help you to accomplish those goals? I think that as a state, we're very progressive, and we're a state that really has benefited from the growth and the opportunities. And this last economic cycle, it really affected a lot of individuals that lost wealth, lost jobs, and are trying to get back, to being productive and having, jobs that, pay livable wages.
At the same time that CPLC focuses on business development and creating job opportunities, the organization was born in the social movements of the 70s, and it really hasn't forgotten its roots. You've been involved in pieces of litigation dealing with that reputation, that soiled image of Arizona that you referenced a little while ago.
Absolutely, right? So as much as we try to be a progressive organization and, one that really looks to move agendas forward, sometimes, there's things that, require attention, right? So 1070 and 1062 here more recently were issues, that obviously were setbacks, to many of us in our community, as well as, the movement in our state and just the image, that we have nationally. But other initiatives, the employer sanctions, things that, we believe, are not good, in terms of moving our community and our economy, are things that we've gotten involved with. Those are things that are still very much grassroots, very much things that, most of us in the Latino community believe to be, just bad policy. And in those cases, CPLC has been a plaintiff, working with many other organizations locally and nationally, to make sure that, we take it to the courts, and that, hopefully we're having, the proper outcomes, come out of those decisions.
And taking it to courts is included all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court in some of those cases.
Absolutely.
We've got about a minute left. Very quickly, some of the new exciting things that CPLC is involved in?
Yeah, so we have a new project that is coming up, right here on 14th Street in Van Buren, called the Pickle House. And so it's our investment in trying to promote entrepreneurship. So you're going to be hearing more about that, again, as we make significant investments that are trying to attract entrepreneurship, especially in the high tech, especially in the manufacturing business. So we'll come back to you in a later segment and try to talk more about, those opportunities and the type of people that we're working with, in our communities.
Edmundo, as we said at the beginning, this recognition is well-deserved. You truly are one of the 50 most influential Hispanics in the country, and of course, here in Arizona. So before we close, just any personal reflections? We've got a little bit of time left on what this honor means.
For me, it's about being able to engage and being able to bring attention, not just to Chicanos por la Causa, but also to a lot of the great work that our community does. The type of people that we're identifying, that were selected to be part of the list, are people from all walks of life. I think above all, I think all of us are trying to make our community better, are trying to ensure that we're part, and included in many of the decisions that are made that benefit our community as a whole. And I think for us, that's all we're asking for. We're asking to be included and to be part of this diverse community and diverse state that Arizona is.
Again, congratulations and thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
And that's our show for tonight from all of us here at 8 and Horizonte. Thanks for watching. I'm Jose Cardenas. Have a good evening.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station.